The S&P 500 closed above 5,000 for the first time ever on Friday as the index is on pace to report a second straight quarter of earnings growth. Here with more on what Wall Street has to say, let's get to Yahoo Finance's Josh Schafer. Hey, Josh.
Brad, yeah, we did it. We did 5,000.
Just like we drew it up, right?
Yeah, we talked about it on Friday morning. We talked about it on Thursday morning. We were talking about it all of last week, and we did finally close at that mark. And I think one important thing to point out with that we had sort of been chatting was, well, there hadn't been a lot of bad news or news that investors wouldn't like, right, to really bring stocks down. I think this week might bring different challenges with that CPI report that we have tomorrow. It's not really just earnings this week, but it has been, over the past week or two, really a string of relatively decent earnings. It's been mixed earnings when you think about it broadly, but when you take a look at how the S&P 500 is doing on an average basis, we're over 2% now on earnings growth for the S&P 500, and we're starting to see more breadth for earnings too. That's something strategists are starting to highlight, that it's not just, the top 7 companies. You see this chart here, this is from Deutsche Bank. That purple line you're looking at is the breadth, the amount of companies we're seeing beat earnings expectations. And the blue line is what the median is. So the U.S. clearly outperforming the rest of the world here, Rochelle, but also outperforming ourselves in what we normally see. And I think that's probably speaks to that strength a little bit.
And we know that investors have gotten ahead of themselves before this. So then as you look at some of the sentiment that you're seeing about monetary policy, does it hold as to where we should be seeing the S&P heading right now?
Yeah, I think it's interesting, right, to think about what are the expectations right now, right? And I think one thing that is expected is for inflation to keep falling, right? And I think that, Rochelle, maybe is you talk about people potentially maybe getting over their skis. Does a slightly hot CPI report shake markets, right? Because it seems like we're definitely going to have a soft landing narrative, everything's fine. Inflation's just coming down in this straight line now, right? And the economy keeps doing well. So I think any blip that you see in an inflation print, at least in the short term, is going to mix up the narrative a little bit here right now, because it seems like most people, consensus has written off, all right, inflation is higher than the goal, but it's headed in that straight line to the goal. I think any blip there will be something to watch for sure.
And I think they thought we were going to see that with those BLS revisions. Didn't happen, so at least for now,
exactly.
keeping some hope alive there.